Well, welcome to the Shifting Realities podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ellison, and with me is my co-host and friend, Robert Perry. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about the downloads that I've been getting on the projections for 2024 and actually how it affects us all in terms of what we as the human being, the human vessel, what we need to do next. I'm just going to start myself by saying I've been seeing a lot of people talking about 2024 projections as we do. We work into the new year, we talk about new year, new life, 2024 is a new number 8 and it's this and it's that. And I actually thought, I just can't even be bothered to listen to all of this. And I'd been resisting about these projections for 2024. And lo and behold, I started watching a video that wasn't to do with that. And all of a sudden, I got a bit of a download from my guides about what we're going to be experiencing 2024. But today we're just going to talk about this in terms of, rather than talk about an experience that feels more like what we've been experiencing in the past, it feels more like we need to be absolutely aware now of how our own frequency is going to either keep us in this old earth paradigm or kind of shift us as we go through different frequencies, but shift us into the new earth, as we want to call it. So we're going to talk about that today. So I don't know whether you want to start off with how we're going to go through with it, Rob, and how we understand that it's sound and light that creates these beautiful frequencies that we need to key into, sort of turn into and key into in terms of really shifting forward to the new realities and really stop doing this. I'm going to dwell in the past and I'm going to be in fear of everything. And, one of the downers I got was, look, Julie, just 2023 and beyond and everything beyond is just about dropping, it's just about choosing now. I'm going to drop everything that doesn't serve me, and I'm going to focus so much on these beautiful frequencies. So if you don't know what those are, we're going to go into that now. I'll let Rob let you know about, and we'll talk about sound and light and how that works.
Indeed. And in a sense, Julie, this throws us back to our last podcast, which dealt with the matrix and how to unplug yourself from the negatives in the matrix and reconnect yourselves to the positives. So you change your own life accordingly. And we navigate the matrix through sound, to the frequency of sound. And sound to humans, and quite possibly all sentient beings, sound is the foundation of everything. We are made of vibration, and that is a sound. So sound waves and how we create sound matter beyond anyone's expectation. And the more you think about it and the more you study it, just the more extraordinary the subject becomes. So sound is created. Light exists, sound is created. So if I want to create sound, so for example, if I take a singing bowl and I want to create sound, I will strike it. And I've caused that. Now, this particular singing bowl I bought in a flea market in Johannesburg from the guy who had beaten it. And I spent half an hour finding the one that fitted my resonance. So I can still hit the singing bowl not at my resonance, but I now know where to find my personal resonance in it. So I have a sound resonance, you have a sound resonance. And quite often we'll respond to sound because we like or connect to the resonance. So just as you might say, you wouldn't, I know you might say something particularly mean about someone, and you might think, oh, that's nothing, I didn't mean anything really, just said it. You have in fact put a negative intention into action. So that sound wave of negativity has now gone through your matrix and into other people's matrices, because everything interconnects. So everything we do, everything we say, and everything we think has cause and effect. So sound is our baseline for me. Does that make sense? Or am I absolutely waffling?
I am with you. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think we actually heard the singing bowl, but it looks a beautiful, beautiful singing bowl.
Right.
but what, yeah, to add to that, the other side of this is if you're saying, I hate somebody else, or I wish they would do that, as Rob said, not only does that cause this negative effect in somebody else, the universe, the molecules, the atoms that are hearing that, they're not sort of what would you call it? They're not going to say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that for you." What happens is that hate goes into your body as well.
Yeah.
So when we to understand how sound affects us, the guides are showing us, if you imagine we are a vibration, because every single thing is made up of atoms, isn't it? And of course, we can go into the subatomic particles, but if you think of
Yeah.
being an atom, and all the scientists who look into that, the atom spins. All the subatomic particles spin, and they spin in response to the sound, to
Exactly so.
sound and light, the very thing that Rob was talking about earlier. So if you're saying, I hate another person, all those molecules feel, they kind of feel that resonance, that turning of hate. So you can feel it in the whole of your body. You don't even need to have me telling you that that's going on. You can feel that that your body is it's almost like crumbling, isn't it?
It's
And
jarring to your
yeah,
energy.
it's like it just
Yeah.
doesn't sound right at all. And can you imagine, whether it's yourself or anybody else, or the listeners out there, if that's somebody who constantly, every day, every single day, wakes up and says, I hate the world, I hate this person, I hate the leaders, I hate that, and live in that kind of world. Can you imagine what their body is doing in response? And so can you see how maybe that person is somebody who maybe has some kind of fatigue, is tired all the time, just doesn't like anything. And you also, I'm going to say, if you have a high frequency, you're not going to tolerate something that somebody else is saying. If they're talking about, like, let's just say hatred, or even in fear is like a global, like an umbrella term for some of the negative, or well, all of the negative emotions, even emotions such as such as even sadness or anger. I'm trying to think of others, Robert. It's hard when you're not in those frequencies, when you're not in
Yeah,
those things
sure,
at that
sure.
moment in time. Don't get me wrong, we're all going to have moments of being in anger. That's part of being human. But what we've got to understand is that anger should just, we should dissipate it, as soon as it sort of comes in, understand it, recognize it, value it, accept it, honor it, and then go, do I need it?
Yeah.
No, I don't need that.
There
It's
you go.
not serving me. And then just let it go. So
Yeah.
again, a lot of what we need to do is just let these negative things go. And, again, to add to that is, if we talk about being, sort of hating something, like these people, let's say people in power, have a power role, so the leaders of a country, for instance. And what happens there is, Rob talked a lot about resonance. Everything in this world, I feel, has a resonance. So, for instance, we're not going to go into any politics today, but for instance, COVID has a resonance, and all the things that went on there. And we're not going to get into what was right, what was wrong, because nothing is right and nothing is wrong. Whatever you believe,
Yeah.
you believe. The same as, let's move on to another resonance field, or another grid in a matrix, or another matrix in this world, is something like, I think we've mentioned this before, where the government will say the cost of heating your home, the cost of electric and gas is going up. And we can feed that fear. We suddenly hear it and we're plugging in, feeding that fear. We're actually creating more of that resonance. So we are making that resonance field larger and larger. So what do we do instead? We just say, not in my world,
Yeah.
not for me.
Unplug.
Yeah, unplug. I can see, that one day I can see right now that we have free energy, that scientists can, be able to, we can all have permission to have free energy. Obviously, we don't have that now because it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And, so money, monetary value does play an important part to leaders and things like that. But, if you look at just unplugging yourself, being in a world of, not attempting to feed into, be very neutral. Once again, we talk about the neutral observer, be very neutral to it, and you'll see it changing. I mean, even the things are happening around me. For instance, my electric and gas bill is not gone up at all. I've managed to and I'm not going, sitting here. I do have a blanket on actually today, but I'm not sitting here
Yeah.
going, I'm not going to put the heating on because I can't afford it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. And yet, because I'm not feeding myself into all this fear of, am I going to be able to heat the house or whatever? It just is there. And it's not, so although I'm still paying a bill because we don't have free energy, the bill doesn't feel that big. It doesn't feel that it's going up. I don't know if anybody's noticed the cost of petrol these days is going down and down and down. Nobody's mentioned that in the news.
No.
They're not mentioning the good news where people go, oh, it's going down. And as you see it going down, it goes down even more. Oh, let's see it go down even more. Let's see it go down to £1 a litre. But the only news we get is when something's going up. So if you notice that, you understand that, that media is just, it's just what they do. And you don't have to hate the media for doing it. It's just what they need to do.
It's fair control.
Yes,
absolutely. It's how the world is run. It's fair control.
Yeah.
Be it from a government, from a religion,
Yeah.
whatever. It's how we are conditioned to be, so that we accept what an elite minority want for themselves.
Yeah.
So it's all how do you navigate your matrix? And if you bring it back to sound, it's every time something you think you disagree with comes across your thoughts. Listen to the sound of that. Is it the words? Is it the way the words have been put? When we make words, we call it spelling. Spelling. We create a spell with words. So every time you speak, as we've said, you cast a spell, good or bad. And that sounds a little witchy and a little out there.
I absolutely agree.
It's I'm afraid it's true. Everything you say resonates, and that resonance doesn't end. It rolls forever. So yeah, it's the strangest thing. When you're in the womb, the first thing that develops in terms of your senses is your inner ear. So as a fetus, as a tiny fetus, you can hear external sounds to you. And all through your life, sound will impact absolutely every aspect of your mood and your being. If that sound is just a set of words, is it a chord, a musical chord that rubs you the wrong way? As you know, Julie, I spent my life working with the voice, human voices, in terms of sort of high-end singing. And there are voices that I absolutely adore, and there are voices that I don't like at all. And that's nothing to do with the artistry of the person producing it. It's not my resonance. So I don't care for them. I don't hate them or dislike them. I just go, you're not for me, and I will listen somewhere else. So you can feel sound all the time, and you need to identify it and go, this sound feels good. So whether that's listening to a concert or your favorite band or whatever, I like that sound. This resonates with me. Or whether it's what someone has just said on the news or in your circle of friends, and you think, I don't like that sound. And the sound is the words, amongst other things. So tune in. And there's a sound analogy for you, tune in, literally tune in. And as you navigate your matrix, listen, because you always have to follow your resonance. And if it isn't resonating with you, that's not for you. So go someplace else. So if you don't want to hear about how prices will go up in February for whatever, but you do want to hear that the petrol price is coming down, tune in to that message, because that's the sound level you should be working on.
Yeah, to add to that, Rob, we know how each human vessel, our bodies, are that we're an electromagnetic being, aren't we? We our emotions and our thoughts, everything create our unique signal. And what we do know is we have a unique signal from, let's say, our source, so our sovereignty and our truth. And then added to it is our unique signal, is more of the signal that comes from our conditioning, our beliefs, and all the other things from it. And to put that into some English, as an electromagnetic being, you give off a signal and it mirrors. This is what we talk about, the mirror. Something comes back. So if you don't want more of something, don't ask for more. So don't think about it. And this is exactly what Rob's saying and what we're saying. So if, as an electromagnetic signal, somebody continually looking into something that's negative, the only thing because of the universal laws, nothing else to it, it's just going to come back. That thing is going to come back. We can tell you the scenario of the let's say car analogy. When you say, "Oh, I'd like to look for a white Fiesta," all of a sudden, white Fiestas come out the woodwork. I know there's millions of white Fiestas. I had 2 of them, but it just comes through. So if you look at all the things that might be happening in the world, and you keep looking at it and keep looking at it and not going beyond what you can, what you really need to be doing and looking at, all you're going to get back with a, mirror effect is more of what you don't want, because you're concentrating on that because of the sound waves going through, because of our electromagnetic giving off this beacon, like a beacon, a signal, giving things off. Do you agree that's a good way of
Absolutely
saying it,
so.
Rob?
No, absolutely. I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, let's not forget all the religions of the world begin with sound. The world is created by sound.
Mm.
So the voice of God, or whichever God you might be tuning into at the time,
Mm.
creates the world with sound and creates the world in her own likeness. Therefore, we can create with sound. And our use of sound now, although we're talking about the impact of sound on us, the use of sound we have scarcely touched on. What sound can do. And you look at poor Nikola Tesla, well before his time, understanding that sound can move incredibly heavy objects, can create electricity, can do all sorts of things. And this will come into our reality more and more and more as we tune in more. But we do have to tune in collectively and individually.
Definitely. Yeah. And I feel, like this is what me and Rob are doing. We are here. Our mission on Earth is to help it's the collective. It's okay, me and Rob and a couple of others and a few other people doing this, but we need a whole collective. We need many more millions of people thinking like this, understanding that we just need to drop the past if it's not been very good for, if it's not serving us, and just feed into the new frequency, do the new, create new paradigms for the new Earth. All of us, it's up to. What we're doing is, some of the prediction in 2024 that I got was that we are moving into a higher octave of frequency. And so that it's going to, again, people might not know anything about that, and that's okay. You don't need to know about the mechanics of it. But if somebody's if they're choosing to constantly be looking out for their world that's negative and staying in that world, what we're going to say is it just cannot, it's not possible. Again, no, there's nobody saying you can't do this, but it's not possible resonance wise to then move into what we want to be of a new Earth frequency. And it's not necessarily, again, this new Earth is not something we're all going to jump ship and all going to jump off this old Earth. We're going to reiterate again, simply another frequency. It'd be a higher frequency. But in order to for us all to see in this world that new Earth, we have to be a resonance to it. That's as simple as that. And I was talking to Rob earlier about an analogy in terms of, who's going to go onto this new Earth and who isn't. And I say it's not about that. But if you are somebody who is aware, who's listened to this and talking to, and listen to us talking about creating our new resonance just by simply thinking different, thinking positively, let's say, and acting, making sure we take action accordingly so that our beacon, our electromagnetic signal has a different viewpoint. That the analogy is, if, say, for instance, you you only speak English and you want to learn another language, maybe French or German, you don't go, oh, I hope this will happen, and I'll let somebody else go do all the work and learn French and English, and they could enjoy it and probably meet new people doing it. And if somebody else learns French or English, oh, then maybe I'll be able to just suddenly speak, wake up one day and speak French and English. You see how it doesn't work like that, how frequency doesn't work like that as well, is that, each and every one of us, as far as I know, and you can discern this for yourself, each and every one of us is responsible for our own frequency and responsible for activating our more sovereign being, the other aspects of ourselves, this powerful superhuman inside of us that's waiting to come out, waiting to expand and come out. And there's a lot of us now that we're things happening that would probably many years ago would never have happened to us, because we're allowing ourselves to raise the frequency, where we're seeing other things. Something that's happened to me recently is just being able to see more things, see more geometric shapes myself. I know Rob, might want to put in there, because he's seen that for a long time. But one of the things I see in a client, or even myself, is if a client's going down a right path, even if it's not quite there, going down the right path, what I see in front of them is this beautiful, it almost looks like a vortex, but it's a fractal pattern. So if you look up fractal patterns and see the beautiful colours, we can see them because AI can actually create these beautiful, AI computer-aided design can create these fractal patterns. I actually see those patterns, and you can see that going on. And if somebody is totally in the opposite way, or totally not allowing themselves to go, down soul's path, or wherever they're meant to go, the pattern is it's almost broken. It's broken off and not working properly. I don't know whether that's metaphoric, because it goes in front of the client, or, if that's what actually happens. I've got more to ask, more questions to ask the guys of what they're showing me and how that's working. But it means, it's also to do with the resonance that you're giving off, creating those beautiful fractals. That's again all about, how sound creates the geometric shapes in us. That's what happens to us, isn't it, Rob?
Absolutely, it is, Julie. I was thinking while you were talking, when I work with clients, I'm aware, and I'm only sort of latterly aware of it, that much of the work I'm doing is changing their language.
Yes.
Their internal language. So I'm not trying to teach them German or French. I'm trying to teach them how to speak in a positive sense and less of a negative sense. So that's the only way I think that you can start to really begin the adjustment of someone to find their own resonance, or to connect back to their own resonance, because you're born with it. You just lose it along the way. And also, in terms of language, I'll just throw this in, because you and I need to get there at this podcast at some point, is that we will all reach a point where we don't need language. And we already have a universal light language available to us, which is something to tune in and use. And I honestly believe that in the course of humanity, well, not maybe in our lifetimes, but I think light language will become the method of communication across all dimensions and beings.
Definitely. It feels like we'll just all start, Rob and I use light language, even if it's just for ourselves. I use light language when I'm in the shower singing to myself and singing light language, or whatever we want to do, we draw it and all sorts. And at the moment, it's lovely for ourselves to see that. But, the light language is absolutely, we call it light language, but again, it's bringing in tones and sounds that, can either really help us or can hinder us, and we'll do another podcast on more about light language. But yeah, I definitely think this light language it is what the guys call a universal language, so that we can all communicate with each other without any without having to think what language do you speak. I also think that we're going to work more with telepathy as well, that we are going to communicate. It's not about reading people's minds, but, without permission. But, I mean, this is how I feel. I work with the guides at the moment. The telepathy is about everything is, it's like all your clear senses together is,
Yeah,
you feel it, you see it, you almost, you hear it, because it's a bit like, it's almost like that monkey mind. With a monkey mind, we hear the words, don't we? And
yeah,
going on with all the negative things. But this is where you hear it and go, oh, this is how I get my downloads. Oh, it's going to be like this. Oh, yes, it's going to be like that. That's how it comes through. And I think all of that, as we raise frequency and as we allow ourselves to expand and to help ourselves through, navigating how we're going to be living on Earth, or even if it's not in our lifetime, we need to embrace all of this. And I think, yes, telepathy and the light language is going to be, these new things. We're not going to live in a 3D world from the same 3D perspective that we have been doing for these few thousand, so many thousands
yeah.
of years. We're going to be living how we very first came down to Earth, in whatever form we were, whatever form that was. Even superhuman and all sorts that I've seen. But yeah, we're going to, work and be, something so different. I think different human beings, these superhumans, as I like to call it, because we all
Superhumans
want
is
to
good.
just have
Yeah,
superpowers.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
I completely agree with telepathy. Whenever I work with guides or with
Mm,
interdimensional beings, whoever I'm working with, it is purely a telepathic world for me, which is odd
yes,
because I'm
absolutely.
clairaudient. So I will
Mm,
occasionally get something shouted into my right ear,
yeah.
almost always my right ear. And that, I'm aware, is when I have not been listening properly. And it was, that's
Yeah,
like the slap. It's like, we've been telling you
it
this for the
is.
past half hour. Will you listen, please?
Yes,
And then,
yes.
I've always acted on those simple messages, and those messages have
Yeah,
changed my life in many ways. So
yeah.
different ways of using sound. And Simon and Garfunkel, The Sounds of Silence.
Oh, yeah.
There is
Mm,
sound in silence.
there is.
So just going within yourself and hearing yourself without
Mm,
saying or doing anything
mhm. Yeah.
has the same effect.
It definitely does. It's then where we start to, really do this going within, what we would
Yeah,
call going within. It's just, there are many ways of doing things, but going within and starting to hear your own pulse.
yeah,
We talk about, that having a unique signal, having a unique sound. If you sit in silence for long enough, you will hear your own sound, the pulse of your heart, the pulse of all your organs, if you want, the pulsation of your light, everything has a pulse. And sit with it long enough and ask to hear it,
yeah,
be open to hearing it, and you will hear your unique sound. And if you don't
absolutely you
like
will.
some of the things, you'll start to see, things, that's when we start to look, be more connective, don't we, Rob? What we'd call more psychic. You can
Yeah,
do this for yourself. You don't have to do it for other clients. You can do it for yourself. And this is a lot of things that we want to teach people. Not that, not about, I am going to heal you, but, do this for yourself. Do this work for
yes.
yourself.
Let us show you how to
Yeah.
heal yourself.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you aren't connecting with it, we can help you get back on
Yeah.
track with it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. It's that's our little line, isn't it? Go
Mm.
within. Because
Yes.
it is
Yes.
about finding your own potential and your own possibility and this exciting world that's available to you. And
Yeah.
that society we live in does everything to shut down.
It does,
So,
yeah.
I
That's
don't
what we're
like to say
moving away
fight back
from.
because fight is, not a good bit of spelling, is it?
Mm.
But
No,
it's resisting that and overcoming it with your own strength.
it is.
Yeah.
It really is. I just thought of something about the spell. I wanted to
Yeah.
say this at the time, then forgot. With the spelling, yeah, work with a lot of clients, and my guys used to say, "There's a spell. There's a spell on them." I'm thinking, "Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, somebody else has put a spell on them." No, sort of 99 times out of 100, let's say,
It's not.
no,
Yeah.
it's you putting the spell on
On
yourself.
yourself. Yeah.
Because let's call it a previous life, but we know more about that, in that it's simultaneous. If in one aspect of you said something like, when I come back as a human again, I'm never going to do that, whatever that was again,
Yeah.
that then sits in your field, and that is, your soul has to have the contract that you're never going to do this again. And then in your next life, when you want to do that thing, you've put a spell on yourself, you put a curse on yourself, and we have to sort of break. Oh, you can easily break that when you're aware. As soon as you're made aware of it, it's like, I don't want that anymore. I want to go and do this. But yeah, that's all it is. When the spells are on ourselves, no fear about that. How can you be in fear of something you've done yourself?
Absolutely. Think of yourself as a radio, and you turn the radio on and you get white noise, but you just turn the dial, and this is probably an old school radio now, I'm giving myself away here, but you tune in to the channel you want to listen to. And you need to do that all the time.
Yeah.
You need to clear the white noise, and you need to find the channel you want to be in, you want to listen to.
Yeah.
So it's consciousness. Just be aware.
Yeah.
Go within,
Absolutely.
listen to yourself, and think about what you put out, as much as what you absorb.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's usually the same. What you put out, you bring in.
Absolutely.
Remember that. You create whatever you want.
Absolutely. It's a good old mirror.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably us done on sound for now.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to wrap.
It's definitely a good place to wrap up. Yeah, I enjoyed that talk with you, Rob.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Tons more to say, but I think that's enough.
I think that's enough for today. Yeah. Lovely.
Lovely.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you for listening, and we'll be with another podcast next week. So thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Take care.